Greetings and welcome to another episode of Learn About Port Wine. This video is in our series of the Port Lodge tours of Porto and Gaia. Today we are looking at Cockburns. They claim to be the world's most welcoming cellar, and I think I will be the judge of that. Let's go. We're going to jump right into the review. So the criteria for the review and the rating are going to be in the description below. Online ticketing and booking. They have a really great website. There's a ton of information about the tours there, and you are able to schedule your tour and everything you need to know about the tastings that are available right on the website. So on the website you will schedule, but you will not actually purchase your ticket until you show up at the reception area. The website clearly states which of the tastings are held in the premium tasting room and which are held in the regular tasting room. Of course, watchers of this channel know you always go for a premium tasting. While this is not located on the waterfront, it's very easy to get to. You just head down to the bottom of the waterfront, start walking up the hill. It's a pretty good incline, but it's definitely worth the trip. When you arrive, you check in at the reception desk, and at that point you can purchase your tickets, and you can also select a different tasting if you want to. So if you were on the website and you were booking for 2 people and you got a reservation for 2 of the same tastings and realized later, why don't we do different tastings so we can swap the tastings back and forth? You can do it right there, and they'll help you take care of that. Another nice feature is that they have a bag check. So if you're lugging around a backpack or anything like that, you can actually leave it at the front desk so you don't have to carry it through the tour with you. The tour itself is probably about 45 minutes. And our group consisted of 4 people, and that was really just because of the time of year. It was a rainy Wednesday in March, but often I've done this tour several times, and during the busier times, of course the group will be larger, and there will be some people in that group that go into the premium tasting room and others that don't, but everyone in our group ended up in the premium tasting room. This is a really good overall tour, and it probably focuses a little bit more on the production aspects of port wine than the history of Cockburns, but they definitely go into the history of Cockburns. You certainly learn, I think the amount of information presented is really good, both for beginners and people who are interested in learning more about port wine. The tour itself does cover a lot of distance, and Cockburns claims that it is the largest cellar in Gaia, and it very well could be. And so the tour you go on, it takes you through all kinds of parts of the cellar, the operations, and they actually have their own cooperage there, which is very unique for any cellar. But there, the coopers, they work on barrels that are used by any of the Symington properties, and it's cool just to see them at work. We had a really good tour guide. She was very friendly, very knowledgeable, and really good at just leading people through, sharing both the story of Cockburns as well as the technical matters of the port wine production process. The tour and the cellars as a whole just have a nice, very historic feel. It feels very real, and it's kind of what you want when you book a tour like this. The tour takes us both through the aging facilities for the large vats for the ruby ports, as well as through the barrel collections for the tawny ports, and then through a really nice vintage library where they have wines dating back to the 1800s. So as we went through the various facilities, crossed the road at one point to go into another building, you eventually end up at the tasting room. So because everyone in our group was in the same tasting room, we were led into what is called the John Smith's tasting room, and it is a great room for trying port wine. It is probably the second best premium tasting room in Porto, and it's just got a great feel. It not only is it good for the customer because they're paying more, and I think that earns them, you know, a premium experience, but I think it's more respectful to the winemakers as well, because you want premium wines presented in a premium way. So I was there with a friend and we did 2 separate tastings. The super premium tasting consisted of a special reserve ruby, a Cockburns 20-year-old tawny, and a Cockburns vintage, and that was for 42 euros. We also did the aged tawny, which was a Cockburns 20-year, a Dow's 30-year, and a Graham's 40-year, and that was for 60 euros. We both really enjoyed our tastings, and we did share wines back and forth, and it was interesting because my friend had little prior knowledge or experience with port wine, so it was interesting for me to just ask him some questions about the wines he was tasting, about the experience we just had. And the other couple that was on the tour with us, they had really no experience with port wine either. So it was really good for me in doing what I do to be able to ask them questions like, why did they select that tour? What did they think about port wine? And they are definitely port wine fans at this point, and they plan to explore more in the future, which I think is cool. That's one of the reasons why I do things like this, is to see people when they discover port wine and then as they get more into it. The only negative aspect of the tasting room for me was that while you could purchase an additional tasting, it was limited to the other tastings that were available. So if you had purchased a tawny tasting, you could purchase a vintage tasting that they offered in one of their other tastings, but you couldn't order from the catalog of the Symington estates. Retail sales area is very nice. They've got certainly everything that you just tasted you can purchase to take home, and they can ship as well. And they also carry a lot of other wines from the Symington portfolio. Overall experience and feel, I really like this tour. I've done this tour at least 4 times on my own, or I've taken groups there as well. It's very reliable. I know if I send someone there, they're going to have a good experience. And I think that just speaks volumes about what they do there and how much they care about what they do. Rating. So they've got a very good online scheduling system. They've got a really nice premium tasting room. And the fact that the tour itself is very educational and very enjoyable. It's very easy for me to give them a rating of highly recommended. This is, like I said before, this is just a solid tour. I know if I send somebody there, they're going to have a good time, and you get to drink some really good port as well. Thanks for tuning in. As usual, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the dinger, and I will see you next time on another episode of Learn About Port Wine.